What's up, YouTube? King Smog has returned to pollute your social media feed. Now, finally, after 5 long, tedious years, YNW Melly, aka Jamell Demons, is going to trial for his double murder case in Broward County, Florida. Demons is accused of killing 2 of his friends and fellow rappers, Anthony Williams, YNW Sack Chaser, and Christopher Thomas Jr., YNW Juvie, in October of 2018, allegedly staging it as a drive-by shooting. Demons and his co-defendant, YNW Portland, are facing 2 counts of first-degree murder with a firearm. Oh, no! Melly has pleaded not guilty and could face the death penalty if convicted. A death penalty that was put onto the table, taken off the table, and then put back onto the table again. YNW Portland, who is also accused of helping Melly cover up the crime, has also pleaded not guilty and is not facing the death penalty. He was released on bail in house arrest in 2020, most likely because of his hospital bed confession that he gave to the detectives. The prosecution argued in the opening statement that Melly shot Williams and Thomas in the back of a car driven by Portland after they left a recording studio in Miramar, Florida. They said that Melly and Portland then drove around with the bodies for hours before taking them to a hospital and claiming that they were victims of a drive-by shooting. They said that the evidence, which includes cell phone records, surveillance footage, gunshot residue, and bullet trajectories, and that all of this evidence will prove that Melly and Portland lied about what transpired that frightful Florida night, basically alluding to what's done in the glades will emerge from the shade. The area that YNW Portland claimed the drive-by occurred at was completely free of the type of debris that accumulates on the road after a drive-by. Police allegedly closed off a mile of the highway and were unable to locate any shell casings, glass, or tire skid marks. The prosecution then stated that the cops closed off an additional mile of the highway for good measure in case the police had scoured the wrong area or in case Portland wasn't aware of where precisely the incident had occurred. Regardless, enough of the area was searched by officers who had allegedly patrolled the area in a side-by-side manner, similar to how people search for missing people or bodies. His attorney is focusing on Melly's celebrity status, creating bias within the lead detectives, alleging that a guilty plea would add a few feathers to his cap. Melly's attorney stated a quote, "Tunnel vision was locked in on his client and other existing leads were poorly investigated or ignored altogether." In addition, Melly's attorneys are trying to shift the blame from Melly to Portland, the relevance being that ballistics, blood splatter, impact of the deceased wounds, and the path of the car proved that the gunshots were fired within the car. When science produces such a preponderance of evidence, the attorney must work to prove that even the slightest reasonable doubt exists, which Melly's attorneys have done a fabulous job at doing so far. On the second day of the trial, the first witness was the crime scene investigator who provided an overview of the evidence found at the scene of the crime. The investigator discussed the path of the vehicle in which the victims were allegedly shot, as well as the bullet casings and bloodstains found in the car. The prosecution also called an expert in ballistics who testified that the bullets found at the scene matched the specific caliber and brand of ammunition found in YNW Melly's storage. Additionally, the expert stated that the trajectory of the bullets suggested that the shots were fired from inside of the vehicle, supporting the prosecution's theory that Demons shot his friends while sitting in the car with them. A forensic expert took the stand to discuss the blood splatter patterns found in the vehicle. The expert testified that the patterns were consistent with the victims being shot while seated, further supporting the prosecution's case. And one of the most emotional moments of the day came when a close friend of the victims testified about their relationship with YNW Melly. The friend tearfully recounted how they had all grown up together and expressed shock and disbelief that Melly could be responsible for their murders. The prosecution also presented surveillance footage from the night of the murders, which they claimed show YNW Melly along with Portland driving the vehicle in which the victims were found. The footage, according to the prosecution, places Portland and Melly at the scene of the crime. the defense attempted to poke holes in the prosecution's case by questioning the reliability of the footage and suggesting alternative explanations for the presence of Melly's DNA and fingerprints on the murder weapon, baiting scenarios supported with reasonable doubt. The prosecution introduced phone records that they claim show Melly and Bortland communicating in the hours leading up to and immediately following the murders. And the content of the message, we obviously haven't been revealed yet in court, but I think that might just be the bombshell that the prosecution has in their back pocket. Unfortunately, my opinion is Melly's fucked. As much as I don't want to say he is. What irks me is if he gets life or the needle, it will be such a tremendous waste of talent. Melly has the ability to obtain Drake-level celebrity. I sincerely believe the man is actually more talented than Drake when you consider most of his hymns were created when he was all by his lonesome in a cell. The drive, discipline, dedication, and desire required to create industry-acceptable hits and hymns from behind the walls is both astonishing and spectacular. But that's it for today, Smoggers. Like, comment, and shoot that sub, man.